For cheap and reliable MT, head over to aoa.com and use coupon code JACOB for 3.
What is going down, everybody? It's Unbeatable Jacob, and today I'm here to go over my top 20 cards of all of my team this year. So, not my top 20 best cards out right now, not my top 20 cards of the year, just my top 20 favorite cards that was a mix of people I enjoyed using, that people I had success with cards that I just thought were flat out fun, just kind of a mix of everything, just a general broad power rankings of the top 20 cards for me this year in my team for the time they came out. So let's hop right into it here. And at number 20 is going to be Galaxy Opal Giannis Antetokounmpo. The one from the radioactive set, obviously he had more cards come out than this, but for the time, this one was pretty crazy for me. I prefer personally Giannis at the 3 or 4. I like him to sit in the corner for my offense, and I like him to play out of the corner for defense. So I don't really like this new out of position one that much. I actually sold him back, but this card was a necessity for the time he was out. It was the first Giannis all year that had range extender. He came with 35 Hawk badges. He was like the first one with a real serviceable 3-ball, and the first one that I had his jump shot on quick, I do believe. Actually, I think this one did too. He did. This one was good too. This one probably could be on the list as well, but the only thing about this one is he didn't have range, so he wasn't the crazy glitchy Giannis that was the best forward in the game at the time when he came out. At number 19, we have the original Chicken Man, Antoine Jameson, the Galaxy Opal. I really like this new Dark Matter one too, but this card was just a staple in my lineup for such a long time. The dude came with gold range, but that's all he needed because he was the first player that had Dante X and base in this game, and it was crazy. It was the first time that I had really used X and base like that. I never really messed with X and base in other years or at the park or anything. I always knew it was a good jump shot off the catch, and this was the first time in 2K where I really got to experience that, and now we all know how great X and base really is. For number 18, we got my man Dikembe Mutombo. So I would probably have him higher on the list, but he just came out so late in the year in end of May that it was like, I don't know. But to me, he's still the best center in the game. It's been over a month where I feel like he's been the best center in the game now, or just short of a month. The dude just does it all. His jump shot is, to me, better than Kareem or Will or, any of those guys really. I'd say D-Rob's jump shot is a little better than Mutombo, but just the presence that Mutombo has at the center position in endgame still to this day is just crazy, and he's still a fun card to use because he just gets a lot of defensive animations that most other cards don't. Now at number 17, we got my man Ray Allen here, the enriched one. I didn't really mess with any of these other Ray Allen cards too much, but when this one came, he just simply had to come into the lineup with 48 Hawk badges, and he had his own base on very quick. Now, the reason why he isn't higher on the list is I felt like he did get outdated pretty quick. He's only been out for 5 weeks, and he's out of most people's lineups. But the first couple days he dropped, or the first week he dropped, he was just so much fun to use. And, now there's other cards like Kawhi out with Ray Base on very quick that kind of outdated him. But he was kind of the first of a long list of many cards similar that have came out through the endgame stages. And now at number 16, we got Idol's Anthony Davis. When this card came out, it just felt like he was the best big in the game by a mile. It felt like there was no other big that could touch him. The dude came with gold range. He came with a good amount of defensive badges for the time, Hoff quick first step, and this was all pre-250 in January. With a speed shoe, he was up there at 97, 98 speed with a coach or whatever it might be, with a 90 plus 3-ball after a coach, and the dude was just really, really good. There was no centers really competing with him at the time that he was out, and when you had him and your opponent didn't, it felt like a free win almost every time. At number 15 is Kareem. This card is, to this day, the best Kareem in the game. And for whatever reason, when I have Kareem on the floor, I just feel more comfortable. And for that reason, he was in my lineup for a lot longer than most other people's. He had his jump shot on very quick, actually. And he also came with gold range, or I should say you had to apply gold range, but he could get it. Dude's defensive stats all 90 plus, 92 speed, and I think that he's still a viable center to run to this day, 3 months after he came out or so. Kareem is really just a great card to use. He just makes me feel at home when I have him on the court as my center, so I had to put him on this list, even if a lot of other people maybe didn't keep Kareem along for as long as I did, or just doesn't like the card near as much as I did. But Kareem just is a staple for my team for me. And now at number 14, we got Pink Diamond Froby. This card was incredible when he came out. He came out right before Christmas, and I remember the first game I used him, I scored 81 points for him as a tribute to Kobe himself. That was a lot of fun, and he was just great, man. He was just great for his time. Like, looking at his SIGs now, they don't look anything crazy compared to what we get nowadays, but before Christmas time, before that time, this card was just wild, man. When you had him on the court, he was a mismatch no matter who the opposing team had guard him. He was just nice, man. He was super, super good. And now at number 13, we got my man Pink Diamond D Rose. He came in a time when we just had a big drought for point guards because Steph Curry came out at the start of the year as a Pink Diamond, and then we got like a few cards like Deron Williams or other cards like that, but like no one really knew who to run at point guard unless you had Curry. And then came Derrick Rose, and this dude was just crazy for his time. He was putting everybody in the hoop. He had Hoff showtime, Hoff quick first step. He could go ahead and get range. He only had an 85 3 ball, but it felt so much higher. I was greening everything with him. It was probably, I don't remember, I probably had a shoe and a coach to get it to like a 94. But yeah, man, it was crazy for the time. He even had quick dribble style. I didn't even really know how to use it properly when I got this Derrick Rose card, but it still felt like he was blowing past everybody when this card came out, and he came at a perfect time because no one really had a good point guard to run besides Steph. And now at number 12, I believe, I might be getting lost on the count here. Let me see. 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12. Yep, so number 12 is this Galaxy Opal Kawhi. I feel like a lot of you guys probably relate to this one. I know this card was definitely a fan favorite for most of the year. He came with Hoff range, Hoff blinders, 94 speed, crazy defense. I mean, he was just so nice to have at the time, and it felt like no other wing could really compete. He didn't age as great for me as maybe some of the current gen players because he didn't have that quick dribble style. Obviously, I play on next gen, so it's pretty important, especially as it came into February where I was pretty good at quick stopping and everything like that and learning how to do that efficiently. But I mean, just looking back on this card with that Ray Allen base and Pro 2, like, he was so good for his time. He was definitely a card that when he came out, you felt like you had the best wing in the game, and it wasn't particularly close. And now at number 11, we have Invincible Luka. So this card has been great. The only problem is he came out June 4th. So it's like, how much are you really doing with this card this late into the summer? Obviously, most competitive games have died down. 250K is long past us, and everybody's just kind of able to do everything. And for that reason, I can't put him any higher, because as fun as he is and as great as he is right now, I just feel like that there's a lot of cards in the game that can do or give you what Luka can give you now that we're well into June. So at number 10, we're halfway there. We have Pink Diamond Paul Pierce. This was the first unlimited card that we got all year. I was able to get him like 3 days into the game. I just grinded out on unlimited, went 68-1, and got the card right off rip. And once I had him that early, it felt like he was the best card in the game for a good minute, because time just kind of goes by slower at the very start of the year. So it felt like I had one of the more rare and also the best card in the game for a couple weeks after launch. There was really nobody who was close to him up until we got like Diamond Paul George, and that didn't come out until like 3 or 4 weeks into the game. So the first couple weeks, if you had this card, not only did he feel rare, he also felt like the best card that you could get at that time. At number 9, we have John Stockton. Came out at the end of September, and the fact that we had a glitch John Stockton doing athletic one-handers off 2, cockback tomahawks, uber athletic tomahawks off 2, windmill reverses in September was absolutely crazy. It was just so silly. I mean, in hindsight, I really enjoyed using the card, but I just don't know if that is good for the game. It's wild to see a card like this in September. I think everybody was caught off guard when this card came out. I mean, he could get range, he could get clamps, he got quick first step on gold. I mean, the possibilities were endless for this card. You could upgrade him if you really wanted to up to like 30, 40 gold badges and then add, I think, 3 or 4 more. So if you really wanted to soup out a John Stockton, you could have a 43 gold badge dunking John Stockton in September, which was just absolutely stupid. In hindsight, it was fun to use the card because, I mean, it was pretty easy to score with them compared to most of the other cards that were out at the time, but I just don't know if this kind of stuff is good for the game, and that's the reason why I can't put him any higher. And now at number 8, we have my man Pink Diamond. Damn, I did like this card. I mean, I like this card so much that it's literally behind me. But I had to go ahead and put up the Dark Matter Ben Wallace because, truth be told, it was pretty difficult to shoot with this Pink Diamond card, and it did frustrate me and cost me a few games because I was stubborn enough to keep running him. But now that we have this Dark Matter Ben Wallace, that problem is solved. My Ben Wallace has 60 Hoff badges, a Grinch, he's got a Diamond contract, and he will be on the team rest of the year. He is my favorite player of all time in the actual NBA, so it's great that we got this card. He would be number 1 if he came out probably a month ago, but it's just too late into the game cycle for me to be putting cards above some of the people that we're going to have here towards this top 7. And at number 7, we have Bill Russell. Kind of the same story here, just too late into the game cycle. And at the end of the day, as fun as this card is to use, like, there's just something about Bill Russell that just doesn't seem like the funnest thing in the world. I mean, 3 hunting with Bill Russell is a joke, but the joke gets old when it becomes a reality, and 99% of people have this card in their lineup. So the fact that he's so commonly seen definitely takes away points, and if I could go back and change anything on this list, I would probably move him back because everybody has this card. He doesn't feel rare. Something just doesn't hit right about a Ray Allen based Bill Russell being the best shooter on your team. But hey, that's endgame my team for you. At number 6, wait, 4. At number 5, I don't know. I lost count. Regardless. Number 5, we have Draymond Green. This card was silly at the start of the year. He came out even before John Stockton did. And if you properly badge this card up, it just felt like he was the best power forward in the game, if not the best card at the time. He was just very unique to use early in the game cycle. I don't know what it was about him. I think it was just he was more well-rounded than any other card. Every other type of power forward in the game had some sort of weakness, and Draymond just felt like he did not have that weakness. So, like, yes, slow jump shot, it was on normal timing, not a good dribble style, like no Showtime dunks really that I know of, but it was just something about this card, the way he played defense, the way he could rebound the ball despite being 6'7", the way he could run the floor. He was just really cool to use at the start of the year. He was fun. I don't know what else to say. Like, looking back on it now, there's nothing that's like jumps out paper wise, like, you know, in paper on writing that this card was crazy for, but just for the time, just know if you walked in this card, it really felt like you had the best power forward in the game, and it wasn't even close. At number 4, we have Hondo. So this card was absolutely insane on current gen. I feel like a lot of people that were still playing current gen when this card came out probably would have him in their top 3. I mean, especially if you were a 300, the way I play the game, if I was still on current gen, he would have made my top 3. But I just can't do it because I was playing next gen at the time, and the top 3 coming up here were also crazy. But what more do you need to say about Hondo? The dude came out in January. He had base 98 with quick and pro 2. Like, he was a pro-am guard's dream to play my team. He literally had pro-am type SIGs and base 98. So what can you say? On current gen, it's still the best shot. So it was just wild. I mean, the dude had 24 Hoff badges, 24 on gold for January. That was just unreal. Might have been the most in the game or close to. And they were all good Hoff badges. We're talking about clamps, intimidator, handles for days, quick first step, range and hot zone hunter. A lot of people went ahead and added badges to their Hondo too. So yeah, what can you say? I mean, you guys, if you watch 250, you know that the impact this card had on people like Splash's team. And Hondo's just got to be somewhere in the top 5. And now at number 3, we have my man Pink Eyes Luka. Card was silly. I mean, he was crazy. Like, the dude played on almost every 250 team. He had Hoff Showtime, Hoff Range. He didn't come with Hoff Clamps, but a lot of people added it. He was the first guard we had that had Dante Exum base. He has Shifty and Pro 2, and it just felt like he was the first card where, like, I could go into a game on next gen and just absolutely fry somebody off like quick stops and stuff like that. Because before this card came out, it was like, you know, we had like a month of doing it with Hondo, but on next gen, like, Exum base is just quite a bit better than 98. So he just felt like a big upgrade to Hondo, and running them together was equally as deadly. And now for the top 2. Excuse me. In at number 2, we have Warped Reality Ben Simmons. Now, this card is relatively endgame. I didn't want to have the top 5 filled with cards that were absolutely endgame, but man, what can you say about this card? Last year in 2K20, Ben Simmons was an absolute beast with a Pro 8 dribble glitch, and somehow they found a way to one-up him. I don't get it. How is this card better than Dribble Glitch Pro 8 Ben Simmons? I really don't know, but on next gen, he definitely is, because a Ben Simmons has never been able to 3-hunt in this game the way that this Ben Simmons can 3-hunt. With the dual threat of the rim run and the 3-hunt with this Simmons, it's just absolutely crazy. I don't know what it is about this Ben Simmons base. Maybe they sped it up from current gen on 19, 20, 21, current on PS4. They completely redid the shot timing. I don't know, but on next gen, it is just absolutely unreal how good this Ben Simmons card is. Mine currently is still in my lineup with 55 Hawk badges, and I don't see a legitimate reason that I need to change it up all year. Yes, there is more competition out there for Ben Simmons now, but back when this card dropped in April, like, there was no other point guard coming even remotely close on next gen to being as good as this Ben Simmons. The only argument for other point guards at the time was cards like Luka, and we're talking about a dude who just could never ever think about stopping this card in April once this card was out. Just no holes in his game whatsoever. He can quick stop, he can shoot the 3, his shot isn't even that slow, he gets sharp takeover, he gets the most contact dunks out of any card in the game. It's just it's just something else using this Ben Simmons, and to this day, through the end of the game cycle, he will be a more than usable point guard. And now for number 1, had to do it. Had to do it. It was Pistol Pete. This card is so fun to use even today. Man, oh man, the fact that they threw us for a loop. They said that there'll only be 2,000 cards available. I don't think they ever enforced that. It still says there's 0 redeemed, but just out of nowhere at the start of the season, they threw this 3 Hunters dream for next gen out there. This card came with Ray Allen base on quick. No cards really had very quick at this time, and like definitely not Ray Allen base. Ray Allen base on quick was still one of the best jump shots in the game to this day, and at the time was the best jump shot. I mean, you can obviously say that most people would prefer like somebody like the new Kawhi with Ray Allen base on very quick. But the fact of the matter is the green window is bigger when it's on quick, and I had no problems getting my shot off with this Pete, and it just felt like I could not miss with this card. Obviously had quick and Pro 2. The dude was just absolutely crazy to use, man. Like, I had never taken over games with a card the way that I've taken over games with this Pistol Pete in this year on next gen. Obviously, I don't run him anymore. You know, I got Invincible Luka and that Ben Simmons who just can do a little bit more defensively and things like that. But at the end of a game, even to this day and through the rest of the year, I think that I would trust the ball the very most with Pete with the ball in his hands, because there's something about him feels right, it feels natural, he had good movement, and that jump shot was like near impossible to not green. So I had to give it to my man Pete, and obviously I didn't really talk about like the intrinsic stuff about these cards, you know, but for me, sometimes just the look of the player on the court definitely makes me feel better about them. You know, somebody like Mutombo, where's he at here, might have been higher on the list if, you know, he didn't have, you know, just 2 little armbands. But, you know, I got something for these players like Pete and, you know, Hondo with the high socks. I got a little something for dudes like Derrick Rose when he's got a little hair on his head, you know. Something just feels cool about using cards like that. Something about Froby, like, man, I will take a Froby card over like a number 24 Kobe card any day of the week. Something about just using a Froby feels cool. So I didn't really like take that kind of stuff into account. Like Ray Allen was probably fun, but like he didn't have hair, so it's kind of lame. Like, you know, obviously with Kareem, this card is not touched anywhere near my list, even though he was nearly as good. But something about Goggles Kareem not hitting the same as, you know, the OG Kareem. Obviously Ben Wallace, you know, so it's like one of those things where sometimes things get deeper than the actual, you know, what you see on the database for him. You know, I know Ty made like a whole video talking about like not having arm sleeves on certain players and stuff like that, and like that doesn't matter much for the way I rank these cards, but it mattered just a sliver, you know, just mattered a sliver. Something about, you know, saying, oh, look at Pete go, or fucking Splash saying, you know, like they named him after a gun, stuff like that. Like, you know, it's just the little things like that that somehow have probably a, you know, bias subconsciously. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said, this is just my top 20 cards of the year that I thought were the most fun to use, the best to use, and you know, just simply the cards that I enjoyed the most throughout the year. So anyways, guys, it's Unbeatable Jacob, and I'm out of here.